What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioS 3 Raw TV. When I first started this channel a couple of years ago, it was 2012, I guess. Yeah. I first started making videos about, working out and diet and training and stuff like that. And then I kind of went off to the side a little bit and started to talk about my drug-addicted past and other things. And basically, when I put that stuff out there, it was to not just let people know that, you know what, this shit happens to a lot more people than just you, if it's happening to you, but also to show that it doesn't have to be embarrassing. You don't have to be embarrassed for mistakes that you've made, which is, there's a lot of embarrassment that comes with being addicted to drugs. But it's also so no one else could use that against me as fuel, as ammunition. They couldn't come back and say, don't listen to Jerry about diet because he fucking did heroin. Lay it all on the line, put it all out there, and, where it falls, it falls. Now, fast forward, in the last 2 years, I get many emails per week. And some of them are so moving when I read them. I just, like the other night I got one and I just kind of stopped dead in my tracks. So this individual telling me that I changed his life by talking about the things that I talk about. And how he's clean. I think it's like 12 weeks now he's been clean for. And I'm sitting there it gets hard to read sometimes because I didn't think it would have that kind of effect. I really didn't. And, sometimes Carrie and I talk about it and I'm like, there's a lot of people out there and they're in pain. They're having a hard time getting through addiction, through pain from their past. And the first thing that has to be realized when you have an addiction is you're not doing it to be a dickhead. You're not doing it to be a loser. You're not a loser. You have some kind of hang up, some kind of issue that hasn't been dealt with. And that is the reason why you're numbing yourself. And, usually stems back to when you're a kid, something happens. That's where mine came from. But there's definitely a way to get out of it. Now, I share these stories with you because you may be going through something similar, or maybe it's not even as bad, or maybe it's worse. But remember that it can always be worse. So today, the story time is about one of those times in, my addiction. Well, there comes a time where the addiction ends. And it's not like you can't see it coming. Like, something's going to happen. Like, either you're going to get arrested, you're going to go to jail, you're going to die, you're going to get beat up, you're going to get cut. Like, something is going to happen. And you see it. You're getting deeper and deeper into it, and further into it. And you know that it's going to stop. And that's a scary thing. As soon as you stop with what you're doing, withdrawals are going to come, facing the facts of what you did to yourself and other people around you, facing the problem that caused you to do the drugs in the first place. That's pretty fucking overwhelming when that shit starts to come your direction. And the first thing you want to do is just forget that. Run from it, get high, do whatever you can to just not have to deal with it. You get to a point where we would put a check in the ATM, for $100, and then draw out 50 right away. And the check would bounce. We'd have to fucking wind up paying, twice the amount because the check would bounce. And that's what we would do, here and there. We'd just have to pay the extra fees when we get paid because we needed the money at the time for the drugs. That's just one of the things that, you wind up learning how to manipulate a system that nowadays you can't do that anymore. They hold the check till it clears at the ATM, and if you have a couple bounce checks or something like that, they don't even let you do it anymore. So they throughout the years, banks have gotten smarter, so you can't do shit like that. But there was this one time in particular I remember, and this is when, I really started crashing down. I talked to two friends of mine when I went to pick up the Milos documents, and they told me flat out, you look terrible, you're a mess, you have to stop. And I was already kind of headed in that direction saying, I do, but I don't know what to do. And the dealers that I would get my stuff from, who were actually, I would say, more of a friend to me than a dealer, to be totally honest with you. Over and over again, there was a guy and a girl, they were like husband and wife or boyfriend and girlfriend. And he would tell me over and over again, he's like, man, I wish you would stop this shit. They didn't use the stuff. And he'd be like, man, I wish we could just hang out and you not be high, or you not come over here for fucking drugs. They were really cool people and we got along really well, but I had a habit. It was awful. And then one day I called him up and he said, hey man, we don't have any. Our source got busted. And I knew he was lying. I absolutely knew because I knew other people that were getting it from. I said, all right. I said, you don't have a line? Is anybody I can call? What's anybody I can get anything from? And he said, no, man, there's not. So I said, all right, well, If something comes up, let me know. So because, my girlfriend has to go to work and she can't go to work if she's not well. And if we don't have that, she's not well, so we got to figure out something that's going on because I got to go to work tomorrow. Like it turned into this thing about what do I do now? And talk about scary. Like you don't know if you're going to be fucking laid up in bed for like 2 weeks because you're sick. You're going to lose your job, which is the only thing that's been fucking holding you on at this point to keep up with your habit and pay your bills to begin with. And some of the bills were getting backed up too. So like you see all this shit coming. It's piling up. It's piling up. And what you're doing is just trying to fucking do everything you can to not have this situation end. And I knew a girl who had a good source. So I called her. Sure enough, she was good to go. We went and picked up some stuff from her. And that went on for, I don't know, a couple weeks. So she was working at this place and she said, why don't you come down and pick this up, blah, blah, blah. And she made the mistake of telling me her source and telling me that he was at the store that she worked at. So I walk into the store and she went to, get things done. And, he said, hey, my name's so-and-so. Here's my number. Call me if you ever need anything. I was like, cool, direct source. This is fucking perfect. This is exactly what I want. I'll even get it cheaper now than I was before. So one thing leads to another, and I give this guy a call. Because obviously money is scarce, so you want to get it as cheap as you can. I call this guy, and he answers the phone and says, hey, this is Jerry. Do you remember me? And he says, no. I said, fuck. I said, oh, I met you at such and such a place. I went to see so-and-so. And he says, no, I don't remember you. I said, well, you gave me your phone number. He's like, I don't know you. And he hung up the phone. So I was like, fuck, well, that didn't work. Now I need to call, this other girl, and, hopefully she's got something because she's getting it from him. By the time I called her, this guy had already called her, and because he didn't remember what the fuck he did. He was probably taking shit himself. He didn't remember he gave me his number, who I was. He had called her and said that I called him, and I mentioned her name, and I mentioned him, the store, all that stuff. And she was pissed. So, and I didn't know this at the time. So she said, yeah, come on down and, we'll hook up and then, I'll go get some things and whatever. So I go to her house, give her the money, and I go home and wait. Meanwhile, she says, she calls back. She says, I'm waiting, blah, blah, blah. She said, did you call so-and-so? And I was like, now I knew. I was like, fuck. Yeah, he told me to call him. He gave me his number. She's like, all right, cool. I was just wondering what was up. And I was like, yeah, no, he told me to call him if I needed something. I was going to try to hook up. I said, but, things didn't work out, so whatever. So she's like, all right, cool. A few hours goes by. You're getting sicker and sicker. Anxiety's starting to build up. You really feel awful. There's no source. Nothing in sight. Call her up, no answer. Call her up, no answer. She finally calls back and says, hey, the guy gave the money to get busted. Like, we don't have the dope and we don't have the money. There's nothing I can do. I'm sorry. And in my head, I was like, you know what? This is such bullshit. I know she's pissed. I know she's fucking holding out because there's no desperation in her voice and she does heroin. So I can just tell. And you can't argue because you already gave her the money. The money's fucking gone. I mean, what are you going to do? You can't call the cops. So at that point, right then and there, I said, fuck, we're screwed. Like, I can't do this anymore. I can't fucking go round and round. Like, this is just not going to work. We have to stop this shit. And you're at that point where you're like, I need to figure out how to get, off of this permanently so I never have to deal with this ever again. It was like Groundhog Day, that movie with Bill Murray. It's the same thing every day. You get up, you try to get your drugs. You hope that you have enough to get you to sleep at the end of the night and you can get a little bit of sleep, so that, because when you come off the drugs, you're really, really fucking miserable and you can't sleep. So now it's like compounded. It's just so fucking awful. And at that point, like, I had started calling buddies that had like some Percocets here and there, some Vicodin here and there, just to get through the day. And even that wasn't working at that point. And that's when I had to put my foot down and say, I gotta fucking do something. And the first place, I remember my mom actually took me there, and they were like, it was an inpatient thing. They said, you know what, we're booked up, like we don't have any openings. And they call it like a bed. When a bed opens, we'll call you. Here's some Clonidine. Go home and take this for your blood pressure. Take some Advil or whatever for the cramps and stuff you're going to have, and make sure you stay hydrated and just ride it out until we call you. How long is that going to be? And they're like, well, a week, a month, 3 months. I'm like, fuck, in 3 months I'm not going to need it. I'm going to be fine. But I'm going to go through hell. Again, calling my buddies, trying to get a Vicodin here, a Vicodin there just to get by. And eventually I wound up going to the Addiction Recovery Institute of Rhode Island. And that's where my life changed. Everything changed. I realized what was going on. My counselor, my therapist, and eventually was able to pinpoint the reason why I was doing it. And I got on a methadone program. And the methadone was expensive, but the thing is now I could actually work and not have to worry about being sick. So my performance at work was getting better. You know, I was able to pick up another job, a second job, to make sure I had more money and was able to afford this stuff, because it's all out of pocket that you're paying. It's like $175 a week out of pocket, which technically, you know, if you're doing heroin, it's actually a decrease in the money that you're spending per week on that. And that's what things turned around right there. But I mean, that's just one of the times that it looked so bleak. I mean, it looked absolutely like I would rather not wake up in the morning than have to go through what I'm going to go through. The withdrawals, the facing my fears, the facing my frustrations, fixing what's broken in my life, mending relationships that I've fucked up over the past couple of years doing this. You know, coming to terms with the fact that I turned myself into a complete fucking scumbag for the last 2.5 years. You know, realizing the fact that it was your control. You did it. You have no one to blame but yourself. Taking personal responsibility for everything that you've done and what you're going to do. And nobody's going to help you. You have to do it yourself. You have to do the work. And that actually was a turning point in my life where I realized I can't blame people. I can't blame other instances, circumstances. I can only blame myself for the decisions that I make. And once I figured that out, things started to change. Slowly, but it started to change. So for those of you that are out there that you're in that place, it's a dark place and you're not sure what to do, taking that step towards getting well is a lot less painful than the withdrawals you're going to have to go through if you're teetering on the edge back and forth for the next 2 years. You may take a couple of months where your life may suck, but you're not going to be in any pain, and you're going to get shit straightened out. And before you know it, things are going to be a lot better. It's just a matter of you got to have the guts before the glory. Guts come long before the glory. You got to have the guts to be able to face your fears and jump off that drug and get clean before you can have everything that comes with the life after that. But if you sit there and you're scared and you're being weak and you're not being strong and jumping in the fire feet first, it's never going to happen. Your life is going to suck a lot more than that 2-month period that you're going to have to fucking deal with things. So I hope that this, you know, will reach some people and you'll understand, and we'll give you guys some ideas that, you know what, it's worth it. Whatever work you have to do is worth it. BioStraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. www.biostraining.com is a blog. It's the Worth It Bio S3 Bicep, and we're out.